What's up guys? Simon here. In this episode or video, we're going to go over some of the craziest concierge stories for American Express Platinum and Centurion. It's going to be my reaction video. If you're new to the channel, you could check out some of my American Express review videos where I have reviewed the American Express Centurion Black Card as an actual member, the Amex Platinum. I've even reviewed the JP Morgan Reserve by Chase, which I had as well. So in this video, we're going to go over and hop onto Reddit where someone has created a blog or a thread, I should say, that says, I was a concierge for American Express Platinum and Black Cards, and here are my stories. This is going to be exciting, and I'll share some of my stories from some of the experiences of high net worth individuals that I've had as well. Before I get into this video, I always ask that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's the biggest favor you could do for me for making this type of content. I truly appreciate it. So let's get into this video. So the first thing is that comes up on the Reddit thread at the top, and the link for the thread is actually in the description below. The individual Woo Life responds to a question from an individual that says, how often were you asked to do something illegal or something that would breach another client's security? So this is a cool question because I'm sure American Express Centurion members ask the weirdest things. So did the Platinum. And Woo Life responded, it wasn't a huge amount of times that someone would ask something illegal, I assume. He said, because most clients knew what their limitations were. Some did ask for us to find hookers and escorts and rub and tugs. But we just always politely told them that we were not able to. He proceeds to say, we were not allowed to give request information to anyone other than the person who's actually a member. But in this case, it's anyone who's not authorized on the account. And from personal experience, one time my wife called American Express and she tried to get some information from American Express, and American Express would not share anything with her. And it's because a lot of members have wives, but they also may have mistresses or a second life, and they don't want to converge or give out that information to the wife. So for example, if the wife calls and says, hey, is he at this hotel, or what is his itinerary, etc., they won't share that info. And my wife one time called American Express to find out about a charge. They would not give her any info until I got on the phone and approved her to talk about it, and then added her as an account manager to make sure that she could call in the future. So there are probably a lot of stories of mistresses and wives and so forth that continuously try to use the concierge or the service to find out more details about what's going on with the significant other. So let's continue reading. So they said we would have wives or husbands calling in asking what their last requests were, and we were not allowed to tell them a single detail. It was a common occurrence that a husband or wife would order a gift for their boyfriend or girlfriend on the side, and us giving out that information would be a huge breach of confidentiality. I knew it. This is what happens all the time. So that was a good question, actually. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this type of video, my reaction to Centurion members going wild with the concierge service. Also, check out my other Centurion videos. I did test the concierge service before and talked about it in a video in one of my follow-ups. And then there are other videos with Centurion that I've done on the channel. Here's a good question, because with money, there's a connotation that people are snobby or rude or sometimes just not down to earth, right? And that happens a lot. And I've met a lot of wealthy people that were rude, not down to earth, etc. But I've also met a lot of poor people that just have the same mindset. I've always said that money doesn't make you nice or evil. It just amplifies really who you are. So if you're a jerk before money, you'll be a bigger jerk with money. And if you were a nice guy giving before you had money, you'll be even more giving when you have money. So you're amplified. This question comes from a deleted user actually, but it says what types of clients, occupation were the friendliest and the locations they're at the rudest. And Woo Life answers, all of your requests are in your records, but only for confirmation and receipt purposes. Each concierge should assist you as if it was your first time calling us. So they try to give you that personal experience, and I've talked about it on the channel. I can honestly say, oh, here we go. We were trained to impress. Anything short of that, there was a complaint to a manager. Okay, I can honestly say they will do anything that is legal. So Concierge does pretty much everything that's legal. I had to call every box store in the whole state to find an item before. I've actually done that with the Centurion to try to find a Rolex. I had no luck with Rolex and Centurion able to connect me with any Rolex authorized dealer out there. In fact, they just pointed me to gray market pricing. If you're interested, check out my Rolex collection review on the channel. One thing that I enjoyed about this question is they're saying that if a request takes a long time or more than 5 minutes, they would assign a concierge to research the topic that is not taking phone calls. Basically, if it's a tough request, someone is on the computer trying to find that out. They're not going to get distracted with another incoming call. And they said, and Woo Life said that if the request even takes longer, then it's assigned to a different team altogether. That's a great level of concierge service. So interesting enough, there's not much response to the original comment, what the clients were the friendliest or rudest. It was just about the level of concierge that they're expecting. So that user didn't, I guess, get their question answered, but you could see it on the Reddit thread. Next question. What was the most hilarious or asinine request you've gotten? This is going to be good. The one you really had to dig deep to not laugh about while taking the request. So this is kind of cool. I'm curious to see what this is. I haven't read this answer. I'm reading it live to you, so we'll see what this is all about. A client was on a business trip in another state. Woo Life responds, he said he ate something that really upset his stomach right in the middle of the conference where he was on some sort of panel. So some important guy, he shit his pants. Oh my God, that is crazy. Now that's a crazy experience.
Oh shit.
He tried to pretend it didn't happen, ignored it, but other people, I guess, started to smell it. Now that's not a good thing. Once you go in the pants, you're done. When he finally excused himself.
My God, what is that smell? Oh.
That's the smell of desire, my lady.
God, no, it smells like a used diaper filled with Indian food. Oh, excuse me.
You know, desire smells like that to some people.
What is that? It smells like a turd covered in burnt hair.
And he tried to go to the bathroom. He left a little poo trail that dribbled down his leg. Sorry for the graphics, guys.
Shit went bad real quick.
He called me from the bathroom. He called the concierge guy from the bathroom for help. That is a friend. That's worth the $5,000 annual fee for Centurion alone, or the $700 or so fee for the platinum as well. He called me from the bathroom, mortified, but trying to laugh at the situation. Hey, make the best out of every situation, even if you shit your pants. I called the hotel concierge who ran across the street. Woo Life reposted this. Bought him a pair of underwear, socks, and pants. That is incredible. Brought it to the main bathroom, and this story had him laughing so hard. Hey, that is a concierge that took care of this guy in one of the most dire moments. I bet the guy that had shitted his pants will remember this for his life, and the concierge did the job eloquently. The guy was laughing with the concierge. Things like this happen. Sometimes you eat something bad, your stomach can't handle it. Amex is there to help you. Then he got the hotel concierge to fill his bath, put some Pepto-Bismol in his room, really just try to make the best of the situation. I've never had an experience like that where I could call concierge to get me out of a pinch, but if I do shit my pants, now I know I can call Amex. Okay, next question coming up. What was the craziest request and were you able to complete this request? This is awesome because people ask me, what kind of requests do you make? And I normally make travel requests on my Centurion or Platinum card, but never something out of this world. You know what I mean? So let's see what this is about. Craziest was a guy who gave me a list of concept cars he wanted. I wonder if he wanted to buy them or rent them. He knew none of them were being made. Oh, concept cars. They were not even out there. Okay, but he wanted me to call each one and find out who would make one personally for him. This person must be a baller. One was a little roadster, had 3 wheels. It was a few years ago. Now, mind you, this post is from 9 years ago. I bet things have gotten crazier. He says he can't remember the name of it, and it was an ATV that turned into a Sea-Doo when it hit the water. It's one of those cars that can go on water, and this was 2 out of the 15 on there. So just forwarding, 2 out of the 15 would speak to this guy. They gave him a dollar amount to make one just for the client. The client was extremely thankful and appreciative and ended up getting one. Wow, that's pretty bold. So I imagine that dollar amount was crazy. So it's basically, hey, he requested someone as a personal assistant to call to find out if something that's not even made is able to be made for him. This one's more funny. And if you check out my Ben Hedges interview, I kind of talked about strip clubs and Centurion cards in that interview. Check out my reaction video to that interview on the channel. One of the craziest requests, it goes back to that question. We had a gentleman who called quite frequently asking for a massage parlor in Las Vegas or New York that would make him feel really good. That's funny. Now, again, this is 9 years ago. I bet you could Yelp it nowadays to make his day. The client knew we legally could not recommend or handle escort or rub and tug locations, but he kept trying to get someone to do it for him. One poor girl was relatively new, had no idea what this guy deal was. So she spent a good hour researching really nice spas in both locations that had a high customer rating. She even responded via email to what type of massages he preferred. Hot stone? Question mark. Deep tissue. It was pretty funny. Another time we had a guy ask us to pick up his kids from school because he was busy with his girlfriend. That's a loser. His wife was on the account, and although we never really allowed to give the details of a request to anyone other than the person who made the request, he wanted to make sure his wife, who was sick, had no idea of his whereabouts. Not a good guy. Yeah, so, again, money doesn't make you cool. A good one is, do you tip your concierge? Now, according to 9 years ago, they said that they're not allowed to receive tips. Anything over $200 is not allowed. However, some concierge teams would receive some type of tip or a gift. So here's a good one. The difference between Centurion, Concierge, and Platinum. Now, Woo Life admits that he was more on the Platinum side, but he mentions that Centurion could request specific people to help him or her. And overall, he did say that when Amex would call to make a reservation, they would say, this is from American Express Centurion Concierge. That connotation would mean more meaning to find hotels and resorts that they would call to say, make a reservation. So Centurion back then would allow a personal concierge to be assigned since they switched to a team-oriented environment with many people handling an account, which I like more because it doesn't put an emphasis or pressure on just one person. So overall, that's the big difference. Back then, they would give you a dedicated individual. I did have a dedicated individual assigned. I didn't talk with him that much, and sometimes he would not be available. He would be traveling himself with all the perks Amex gives as an employee. So the team environment really helps out in case the person you're normally dealing with is gone. You actually know 3 or 4 other people that are helping on your account. And my team is lovely. Here's another question, which kind of goes back to the first question. What extreme or legal request would you have made if you had the black card, which is the Centurion card? Go ahead and take a look at that review after this video as well on my channel. He replies, if I had unlimited money, I would have gotten a private jet to pick me up and take me to Paris. That sounds like a dream. On the flight, I would have a fancy lunch and champagne. Waiting for me in Paris would be a car on the tarmac. This sounds like a movie. In the car would be more champagne and a personal shopper prepared with an itinerary. We would go to all the stores and shop. Then we would have dinner at La Maurice or Le Jules Verne. I don't know, sorry, I'm not good in French. I would then take in a show and be taken back on my private jet, either home or other destinations, all planned by someone else. Hey, this guy has it all set. He just needs to learn how to get the American Express Centurion card. Check out my video on how to get the American Express Centurion card. All right, so these were pretty good. I don't see any other ones. And here's a good question right after. How did you get the job? And he was saying, I was working on call at a hospital, not getting enough hours. Desperately needed a job, so I hit Monster and applied. Monster was a big job site. I think it still is, next to Indeed. So he got the job through just researching it, had 4 weeks in training, and training consisted of showing programs, customer service, how to talk to people, really good stuff, and handle most requests. Now, his area was mostly focused on New York City and Las Vegas. It looks like they have specific concierge for specific areas. Now, there were a lot other questions, like what is the creepiest request? I think the hookers covered it. What was the weirdest request? And that's pretty much it. Anyway, here's my funny story. As someone that owns a luxury travel agency called First Business Flights, check out my What I Do for a Living video. I have actually had some funny moments with our clients because we sell international first class or business class tickets. Some of these tickets can range up to $30,000 a ticket, say from LAX to Dubai in first class. You could get a bedroom, etc. Singapore has great suites on their airplanes with showers and you name it. So one time we had a client, of course we can't divulge the names, but we noticed that this client was flying and not with his wife at this time. We happened to do the research because we knew the names of the passengers, looked up the person to make sure what's going on here. Is this, a credible booking, etc. And we see that it's an Instagram model. So the client, who was a big CEO of a Fortune 500 company, ended up flying with his mistress or girlfriend, and at the same time missed Thanksgiving dinner with his family because he was doing some crazy things in the destination with this girlfriend, wherever they flew to. The sad thing is, the client ended up calling our agency asking us to tell the wife that his passport has been expired or delayed, or he lost it, and he was waiting to get a new passport, and this is why he could not fly back to spend time with his family. So we booked him a trip for the next day. It was like $10,000. He didn't mind paying it. Guess what? He didn't make the flight again. We booked him a following day trip for another $10,000. He didn't make that trip either because he is in a hotel room doing all sorts of drugs or whatever and having a weird fun time, if that's your thing. And his wife kept calling going, what's going on? We obviously could not tell her what was happening, and we had to stick with the client's story, which is sad, but he ended up missing Thanksgiving or Christmas. I forget the time that it was or the time period, but it was an important holiday. And I felt so bad for the wife and the family. And at the same time, we had to keep our professional level of making sure that our client information is not shared and that he is safe. So this client ended up missing 3 total flights, ended up spending an extra 30 or so grand just to fly back, and finally made it, I think, on the 4th flight, maybe the 3rd flight, finally back. And that was the last time we heard from that client. And actually the last time we took care of that client, because ultimately, we didn't want to be stuck in this type of position. Now, if you're interested about that company and my story, check out that video. Again, What I Do for a Living. It's one of the several businesses I own. But it was a very interesting story that kind of goes in line with the Centurion Concierge, which allows people to request the craziest things or even tell people, divulge things that the person on the phone or in the other room has to be very careful with sharing. That was kind of intense for me because I had to play both sides and really knew that there was a heartbroken family on the other end. For me, family is the most important. Money comes and goes. Family is there for you. You should always think that way. If you're too focused on money, and you're not focused enough on family, you're never going to be in a good position anyway. All right, so that's my reaction to the Centurion Concierge, an individual that worked as a Centurion and Platinum Concierge member, sharing some crazy stories. I've shared some crazy stories on my channel. Again, check out my credit card videos, including the Centurion reviews that I've done. And I appreciate you listening. Check out the Reddit thread. It's in the link below. I've highlighted some of these questions. Let me know if you have any questions for me in the comments below about some of the craziest requests I made, maybe the most amount in purchases I've done. Anything in the comments I'll respond to. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll check you here in the next video.